Hi, Phil here from the Now Spinning group on Facebook and nowspinning.co.uk. This video review is all about a specific album by The Doors, and it is Weird Scenes Inside the Goldmine, the compilation album from 1972. This really was my introduction to the band The Doors. I wasn't quite old enough to have been there in the 60s or even the early 70s to have taken much notice of them. My only real awareness was like singles like Riders of the Storm and LA Woman. And as I went through the 70s, I became more curious and people mentioned the Doors more, and I'd heard Light My Fire, which to be honest I thought just sounded like some 60s crooner warbling on about something or other. And it was what I just didn't get it at the time. And a couple of my friends said, well, you should really try and get into the Doors, I think you'd really like them. And I didn't know where to start, and I was in Virgin Records in Corporation Street in Birmingham, and I bought this double album, Weird Scenes Inside the Goldmine. There'd been compilations by the Doors before, while Jim Morrison was alive, an album called 13, which has just appeared there, and that has never been reissued on CD, and the reason being because it only went up to Morrison Hotel, so it doesn't feature any tracks from LA Woman. But the great thing about the way these things happen is that because that included all the hits like Light My Fire, etc., when they did this compilation they didn't put a lot of those obvious tracks on, so this makes this a very, very different feel to the songs of the Doors. It is almost really the perfect Doors experience, and it's never been on CD until literally I think 2015 when the CD version came out on DVDs, which I'll talk to a bit more detail in a moment. In 73 there was another Doors best of, which again technically isn't on CD, but it did appear as a DVD on this package, which came out I think towards the end of last year, 2017. And it's basically a Blu-ray 4.1 mix, quad mix for you to hear, so that's also recommended. But the story is really about Weird Scenes Inside the Goldmine. As the 80s progressed, of course, many people were introduced to the Doors by this compilation, which is very well known, as is the picture on the front of Jim Morrison. But still, sales of this on vinyl continued. And I think that the reason is because the sequencing is just magical. If you look on amazon.co.uk, amazon.com, and look this album up, you'll see it actually has a following. The album has a following, not just the Doors, but this actual album has a following, and which is why it is so popular, because the way the songs are sequenced with a lot of best ofs and greatest hits and all this kind of stuff. You always look and oh, they've missed certain things off, but this has the key tracks, the darker side of Jim Morrison's stuff, really. It also has a fantastic essay in the middle which really sums up the period, and to read a part of that I need to be in Jim Morrison mode, so I hope Jim approves of the sunglasses. So the great thing about this album is also the artwork. The rest of the Doors hated it. It came out in 72. They were just trying to get their full circle and their albums without Jim off the ground, and this basically just knocked them sideways. But I think the mystery of the Doors and Jim Morrison is captured with this, as are the running order, Break On Through, Strange Days, Shame and Blues, Love Street, Peace Frog, The Wasp, End of the Night, Love Her Madly, Spanish Caravan, Ship of Fools, The Spy, and of course The End, which is just about to start gently in the background here. And then side 3, Take It As It Comes, Running Blue, LA Woman, 5 to 1, Who's Scared Who, and You Need Meat, Don't Go No Further. Now the last two tracks were unique to this album, and they weren't released in any format for decades. They were very rare. In fact, one of them only really made it onto CD in 2006 through the major box set that came out. Side 4 had Riders of the Storm, Aggie McGill, Horse Latitudes, which is probably one of the most strangest and unsettling songs the Doors ever recorded, and When the Music's Over, which basically captures them in full flight. The essay, which mirrors this fantastic image, probably from the same period as the first album, written by Bruce Harris from 1972. He says here, I'm not going to read it all out, but there are 3 essential albums in the magic summer of '67. Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles, Stuart Pillow by the Airplane, and the Doors' self-titled debut album. And in some ways it's only the last of these that seems so far away in time, as if we remember it from another world and another lifetime. It's weird, isn't it, to think that as this guy says this, and this is 1972, that the Doors then sounded like they were from another lifetime. And they in a way they do even more so now, looking through the lens of 2018, but it's almost timeless. Most of the music that the Doors had was eerie, otherworldly, and has a very odd quality to it. It's distant, it's awesome in its distance, and we remember those days. We feel almost as if we're imagining them. And I think that really brings home the way the music of the Doors feels, I think, for a lot of people. They were kind of scary band at that time. I think they got, obviously the police were always all over Jim Morrison, I think they were really worried in the late 60s that if there was going to be a revolution, this guy was going to be at the front of it. And I think if you look at this album, and I really recommend it if you're new to the Doors, this is a great place to start. And it says that towards the end of this, after the Doors, it just wasn't the same sitting down to dinner with your parents anymore, and really a lot of things weren't the same. And I think this is what makes the Doors so special. And it says here at the end, we can turn out the lights now. 1972 will be another year, and the distance will be greater, and there will be other things to think about. But the man is still at the door, the killer is still on the road, and the cold, grinding, grisly bear jaws grows hotter on our heels in every hour. It's time to roll. An absolutely fantastic album. And as I said, this album has a great following. The sequencing is absolutely spot on, and even if you have every album by the Doors, I just think this is the best one for your car. It just captures everything. Of course, if you've got all the albums, you could probably pull it together through a playlist or whatever, but I just think this is fantastic. Now, full marks to Rhino Records when they did this. They remastered it, but they could have easily added an extra 20 minutes of music to each CD. It is the 2 CD version, but they didn't. They've kept things exactly as it is. They haven't added a booklet giving any interpretation to how the album performed. They basically just mirrored the vinyl copy exactly. So there you have it. The Weird Scenes Inside the Goldmine review, vinyl, if you can find it, which actually you can on eBay if you really want a mint copy. It was also repressed on, I think, orange or gold vinyl recently, but there were lots and lots of problems with that pressing, so be warned. I would recommend this 2 CDs and probably $4.99, $5.99 max on Amazon Prime, and it's everything you need from the Doors. And thank you for watching. Thank you.
Are you a lucky little lady in the city of light? Or did you not